डॉक्टर बाबासाहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी.
Dear students, I Dr. Shivang Patel, Associate Professor, School of Computer Science, Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University, welcome you all from Chaitanya Studio of Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. In the lecture series of Subject Operating System, we have discussed various shell programs in previous sessions. Now in today's session, we will start with the concept of array. In other programming languages, you already aware the concept of array. First of all, if you want to store multiple values in a single variable, then you are using the concept called array, because multiple values, for that you have to create multiple variables, and it is not convenient, it is not feasible to store different values in different variables. Apart from this, suppose you don't want to create multiple variables, you are creating a single variable and store multiple values into that variable. That is the concept of array. We will discuss this concept in Linux operating system today. Now, on the screen you can see what is array. It is a collection of similar data types. As you already aware, in the different programming languages, the concept is same. Array is nothing but the similar kind of values that you are storing. By default, in array, string values that can be stored in Linux or Unix operating system. Now, in shell script, everything is treated as a string. Now, index value that starts with the 0. So, whenever you are storing multiple values, how you can track based on some index value, and that index value starts with the 0, right? Now, there are multiple ways to declare array in shell programming. The first is indirect declaration, in which you are assigning a value in a particular index of array variable. Say for example, you can see on the screen the syntax is given: array name, index number, and then after value. That means whatever the array you want to declare, that name that you have to specify. Here the name is array name. Say for example, any valid variable name that you have to give that particular array name. Then after square bracket, in which you have to define the index number. In all our previous programming languages, you have to declare the size, but here it is not the case. Whatever the values that you are defining, accordingly the size will be defined. So here that is one of the ways to declare the array, that is the indirect declaration. Then after second is explicit declaration. Here first we declare the array, and then after you are assigning the values. For that you are requiring to use the command called declare, and then after you are using the option A. So you can see the syntax is declare, then after option A, and then after the array name. So here only array name that you are giving, then after whatever the values that you can put in that particular array, right? That is the another way. Then after third one is compound assignment, in which declaration as well as initialization that can be done in a single statement. So you can use the array name, then after the equal to sign, and in parentheses you can define different values. Now remember one thing, whatever the values that you are specifying here, they are separated with only space, no comma will be there. Mind well, this is the syntax you must have to follow. Second important thing, we are using this concept in shell programming. So basically, if you are using the shell called sh, that is the original version, the array concept, or you can say that the array that cannot be supported in this sh, that is the original version. Then after the improvement of sh that was found, and the new name will be given, that is called born shell, or you can say that the bash, that is born again shell. That is the specific shell version in which that array will be supported, and it is the extended version of original sh, right? So in today's session, we are continuing our practical of array, and we are executing that in the bash shell, not in the normal shell, that is sh, that is the original version that cannot support the array. So we are using the extended version, improved version of sh, that is bash shell, and bash stands for that is born again shell, right? Now you can see assignment of values in the array, how you can assign the value to particular array. So array name, then after equal to sign, as we have already discussed, that is one of the declaration methods. Then after in parenthesis you are defining different values and they are separated with space. Alternatively, you can define like this: array name equal to in parenthesis, then after multiple index value you have to assign. Say for example index value starts with 0, so that is available in the square bracket. So 0, then after equal to whatever the value, then after space, then after the index value 1, then after the value, then after index value 2 and index value n up to n, right? So this way you can assign the value in particular array. Now suppose you want to print the value of particular array elements. So there are multiple ways. Say for example you want to print the first element, that is the 0th index value. In that case you can use echo, obviously echo that can be used to print something. Then after in double quotation you are using $sign. So $sign that represent the value of that particular variable. So here we are using the dollar. Then after important thing that you have to remember, to print the value of array you are requiring to use curly bracket. So you are using starting curly bracket, then after whatever the variable name that you have given for that particular array, here in our case array underscore variable, then after whatever the index value you want to print, that index you have to mention here. In our case 0, that means you want to print the value of 0th index. In that case it is available in the square bracket. Then after curly bracket is completed. So after execution of this statement, it will print the 0th index value. Then after suppose you want to print all the elements of array, in that case you are requiring to use @. So you can see on the screen dollar, then after array val, that is the variable that we have defined, and then after @sign in the square bracket. So here all the values that you have defined in the array that can be printed sequentially, right? Second thing, another alternative, if you don't want to use @, you can use asterisk sign here. The result is same. Then after if you want to print whatever the values in some specific range, say for example, suppose you want to print the index value 1, 2, 3, right? In that case you have to put the colon sign. So first of all @ that you have to use that represent all the elements. Then after you have to mention the range, that is :1 and :3. That means the lower limit starts with 1 and the upper limit that ends with 3, right? So this way you can print different elements in the array. Now suppose you want to print all the elements sequentially with the help of loop. So we can already aware different types of loop. Here we are using the for loop. First of all we are declaring all the values. So in our example the array name is index underscore array. It is the valid variable name. All the rules and regulations that you must have to follow while giving the variable array name. Then after the parenthesis, multiple values that you have to define, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10. All the values are separated by space. Then after you are defining the for loop, for, then after one variable that can track one by one values from that particular list. Now here list that will be replaced with the array. So the array is dollar because you want to fetch the values from that particular index variable. So index underscore array, and then after @, here the list of all the values that can be defined, and for variable in loop this I variable that will take one by one all the values. So the loop starts with do, that we already aware, and then after ends with done. In between whatever the statements that can be executed multiple times. The iteration value incremented by 1 by default in the for loop. So here the value of I that starts with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 10. So at the end of this program it will display the values from 1 to 10. So this way you can use array in the loop. Now we are dealing with the practicals, how you can declare this, so you can get more idea. So we are starting with creating a shell script. Say for example I am using the name arr1.sh. So here in VI editor I have opened or I have created that particular one shell program. Now press I. So you will move to the insert mode, as we have already discussed multiple modes of VI editor. Now suppose you want to define one array. Say for example, I am creating an array of fruits, right? So I am using, say for example, fruits, that is the variable name. It is a valid variable name that I have defined for that particular array. Now equal to sign, and then after parenthesis I am defining multiple values here. Say for example, first value, that is the index value is 0, mango, that is the another value. Then after third value. So say for example, these three values are there in our array. So the index value starts with the 0. So you can say that fruits 0, that is nothing but the mango, fruit 1, that is nothing but the orange, and fruit 2, that is nothing but the apple. Now suppose you want to print the value. So as you already discussed in our previous slide, that if you want to print, in that case you can use $sign. So you can use $sign, but before that you can mention here 0th index, or you say for example your first element. First element that equals to, now the array value that starts with $. Now if you want to print array value, you are requiring to use curly bracket. Then after the array name, here array name is fruits. Now we want to print the 0th index. So index that must be in the square bracket. So you can define the square bracket. Now it ends with the curly bracket. This way you can represent or print the value of 0th element. Same way, first element, then after second element. Same way, $sign, then after starts with curly bracket, fruits, and then after the first index value, then after curly bracket complete. Now save your code. Now remember one thing, if you want to execute your code, so in previous all the sessions we have executed our code with sh, right? So arr1.sh. Now using execution of this sh, it will give error message, because as we have already discussed, array concept that is not supported in the original version of sh. So we are requiring the improved version of sh, that is bash shell. So we are using bash to execute that code. Then after array1.sh, that is our code name. So here first element, that is mango, second element, that is orange. Now we are modifying this code. Now in this code, we have seen that we are continuing the array values and we are printing all the values. Now suppose you want to add something. So you can use shorthand operator. So you are requiring plus equal to, that is working as shorthand operator. Now whatever the value you want to add, you can add here. Say for example, another fruit name. Now save your code. Again execute by using bash shell. Now we have to print after adding those elements. So after modifying, we have to print. Again for printing, we are fetching the value, that's why $ is required here. This is the array name. So you can write here one statement so you can get more idea. After adding any element, now save your code, again execute. Now you can see here, okay, printing mistake is there. Save your code. Now we can observe here, first of all the elements that will be displayed. By using shorthand operator, we have added one more element, and then after it will be added at the end. Now suppose you are requiring to insert at the beginning, then you can also do that. Suppose you want in between addition of particular element, then it can be also possible. Now suppose you want to find out the length of whatever the elements available, or you can say that the size of particular array. In that case, you have to require hash sign. So again, we are modifying this code. Now in the insert mode, you want to know total elements. So you can write here dollar, then after the array name, in our case that is fruits, then after at the rate. Now in this, we have to put hash sign here. So it will represent whatever the total number of elements in particular array. Again, save your code, clear the screen, executing again. Now you can see here total number of elements that can be displayed with the help of hash sign, right? Now suppose you want to remove some element. So again, we are modifying this code. Now suppose you want to remove some elements, say for example, currently we are having 4 elements, 4 values are there. We want to remove the value at the position 1 index. So you can simply use the command unset. Then after array name 1. Now after deleting an element, you can represent or display with that statement. Now save your code, execute. You can see here previously 4 elements are there. Now after deleting an element, we have deleted one index value. So that's why again total 3 values are there. So if you want to delete that particular element, you can use unset, right? Now suppose you are using loop for printing all the elements in array. So we can take one more example, say for example array2.sh, create one array, say for example number, total 5 values are there in this array. Now I would like to print all those array with the help of loop. So I am using here for loop, say for example I is the variable that iterates all the values. And then after here we have to mention the list, but instead of list we are passing here array, whole array. So dollar, then after curly bracket num, that is our array name, then after at the rate sign that represent all the elements, then after loop starts with do, we are printing the value of I, then after loop completes. Now save your code, again execute by using bash command. So you can see here all the elements that can be printed. Now we are concluding our session. In today's session we have discussed what is array, how to declare array, how to insert element in the array, how to delete element with different symbols, different notations. We have also discussed for loop to print array elements. In subsequent session, we are going to see some additional commands related with Linux or Ubuntu operating system. Till then, keep practicing, keep programming, keep learning. Thank you.